Hello everyone. So in my previous video, I have shared the syllabus of algebra paper, and in this video we are going to start that paper. So in this first video, I'm going to give the introduction of groups. So let us start. We are going to introduce groups with the help of group of symmetries. So we are not going to give you formal definition of group, but basically we are going to see how the symmetries of a square they uh, they make a group, and then after that I will discuss group of symmetries of an equilateral triangle. So let us begin. So symmetries of a square. So what we have to do to discuss this group structure, we have to take a square, a transparent square, and then color its four corners with different colors like blue, white, pink, and green. We have taken these four colors: blue, white, pink, and green. Then we are going to see the net effect of a motion in its position. That means if you just move it or rotate it, then what is the effect of that motion in the position of the square. So what we are going to do, we are going to rotate it 90-degree anti-clockwise or counterclockwise and see all possible ways this square can be repositioned. So let us see here. This is a transparent square. Then I have colored it with pink, white, blue, and green. So these are denoting the colors on this square. So R0 is denoting that we are rotating this square 0-degree anti-clockwise. So when I rotate it 0-degree, that means there is no change. The position is same. So green is at its same position. Similarly, blue, white, and pink. There is no change in the position. So transparent square with four colors, pink, white, blue, and green. So we have to, now what we have to do, we have to rotate it 90-degree anti-clockwise. So when I'm going to rotate it 90-degree anti-clockwise, then this blue color will come here in the place of white, and white will come here, and similarly all the colors position will change. So blue comes here, white here, pink here, green here. So this is 90-degree counterclockwise rotation. Next I am taking 180-degree counterclockwise rotation. So 180-degree, that means I can rotate this thing, this, sorry. So that means I can rotate this square, this thing 90-degree again, then that will make 180-degree. So, or you can just understand this like this, we are rotating this 180-degree or rotating it first 90-degree, then again 90-degree. So that will give you this thing. So in this, if you change for the 90-degree rotation, then this green will come here, blue will come here, white will come here, and pink will come here. So this is the result of 180-degree counterclockwise rotation. Now we are taking 270-degree counterclockwise rotation. So in this previous one, if I make 90-degree rotation again, then that will be collectively 270-degree, because 90 plus 90 plus 90 will make 270-degree rotation. So in this 90-degree rotation, will pink will come here, then green will come here, blue will come here, and white will come here. So this is the result of 270-degree rotation. So again, if I take 90-degree more, then that will be 270 plus 90, that is 360-degree. So again, that will be equal to this 0-degree rotation. So we are not going to take that. Now we are taking the horizontal axis rotation, that is rotation of 180-degree about the horizontal axis. So this is your horizontal axis. So if I just rotate it 180-degree horizontal axis wise, then this pink and white, these colors will come down, and G and B, they will go upside. So this GBPW, this is the result of horizontal rotation. Now rotation of 180-degree about the main diagonal. So this is your main diagonal. So rotation of 180-degree about the main diagonal means these pink and this blue, they will be same, and green and white, they will change their positions. The white comes here and green goes there. So we have one more diagonal. If I take this diagonal, so that will be D dash, rotation of 180-degree about the other diagonal. So if I rotate along this diagonal, then this G and W, they will be same, and P and B, they will change their positions. So this is D dash. Now next rotation is rotation of 180-degree about the vertical axis. So this is the vertical axis. So if I rotate along the vertical axis, then P and G will come this right hand side, and W and B, they will go to the left hand side. So this is the result of rotation of 180 degree about a vertical axis. Now you consider these rotations as functions. So how many rotations we have taken? We have taken R0, R90, R180, R270, then horizontal, vertical, diagonal, and other diagonal. So there are total 8 rotations that we have considered. So just take them in this set, and then we are going to analyze these functions totally. So let us see. So let us try to compose two rotations. So I'm taking R90 and then this H, that is rotation along the horizontal axis. So first we have to rotate 90 degree anti-clockwise and then 180 degree along the horizontal axis of symmetry. So this is your initial position, this one P, W, G, B. So if I rotate it 90 degree anti-clockwise, then B will come here, then W will come here, P here, G here. So this is the result of R90. Then if I apply this H on this position, then this is the horizontal axis. So W and B will come down and P and G will go up. So this is the result of H. So this pair of motions taken together is giving you D. So let us see again what was the result of D. So this D rotation along the main diagonal 180 degree. So this was PWGB was giving you PGWB. So now let us see that again. So this, if I take this initial and this final, so that means this combining these two rotations is equivalent to taking the rotation D along the main diagonal. So we can compose two motions to get a single motion. So we have composed two motions R90 and H, and as a result we are getting D, which is from the same set of rotations. So in that way, I can you can see that if you combine any two rotations from that set, this set, then you will end in just finding a rotation from this set only. So that means this set is closed under the function compositions. If I consider these rotations as functions and compose two rotations as function composition, then the result is again in this same set. So that means this set is closed under that composition, function composition. Now we are going to make a Kelly's table. So let me just tell you what is a Kelly table. So named after the 19th century British mathematician Arthur Kelly, a Kelly table describes the structure of a finite group by arranging all possible products of all the group's elements in a square table. So let us take all the rotations, this R0, R90, R80, 270, H, V, D, D dash, these columns, and then row wise also same elements R0 to D dash. So now what we are going to do, we are going to compose these in this table. So R0 combining with R0, R90, R1, because what is R0? Your R0 is no change. It is not changing the position of the square. So if I combine R0 with any of these elements, R0 with R0 will give you R0, R0 with R90 will give you R90, R0, R180 will give you R180, and similarly all these, no change. Now next I'm combining R90 with R0. So R90, R0 is R90 because R0 is no change. Then R90, R90 is giving you R180. R90, R180 is giving you R270. R90, R270 is giving you R0. And R90 and H is giving you D dash. R90 and V is giving you T. So in this manner, I am taking all the function compositions and writing the results here. So you can see, you can observe from this table that we have not written any element out of that set. So we are getting elements from that set only. And this table helps you analyzing the structure of the group. See, from this table, first of all, it is clear that the group is closed under the function composition. That, or you can say, not the group, that set is closed under the function composition. We are analyzing basically that set, the set of symmetries of a square. So first we have taken all the symmetries of a square in that set, and now we have just written all those rotations and then composed them. So first thing that is coming is that the set is closed under the function composition. Now, next thing, this you can see that R0 is composed with any other element is giving no change. So I can say that R0 is working as the identity element. Identity element means we are composing any element with that element and there is no change in that particular element. So that R0 is not changing the position of your any of the square. So R0 is working as a identity element here. Now you can see that if I combine this R90 by R270, then you are getting R0. R0 means the identity element. So if you combine two elements with each other and we are getting the identity element, that means we can say that those two elements are inverses of each other. So here I can see that R90 and this R270, they are inverse of each other. So, and similarly here R180 combined with R180 is giving you R0. So that means R180 and R180. So they are inverse. R80 is inverse of itself. And then R270 along with R90 is giving you R0. So R270 and R90, they are inverse of each other. Then here H along with H. So H is inverse of itself again. Then V, here you can see V is inverse of itself. Then D here you can see D is giving you R0, so D is inverse of itself. Then D dash, here you can see that D dash along with D dash giving you R0, so D dash is inverse of itself. So we have seen in this Kelly table that every element has its inverse from that set only. And next we can see that suppose I am combining R90 with H. So R90 with H is giving me D dash. And we can see H combining with R90 is giving me D. So one is giving me D dash and another is giving me D. That means we can say that R90 and H is not same as H R90, or we can say function this combining two rotation, that is not commutative. R90 composed with H is not same as H composed with R90. So this is not commutative. So if I get or commutativity in all the rotations, all the compositions of any two functions, then we say that that set is following the commutative property. But it is, we can see from here that it is not following the commutativity here. So it is a non-commutative set, or we can say it's non-abelian. So because this property was given by mathematician Abel, so it is known as abelian property. So first what we have seen, let us just revise it again. First we have taken all the rotations, and then first we have checked the closure property. So now at this stage I am not telling you that it is a group. First we are one by one checking what the properties this set is having. So first is closure property, then we have seen that there is identity element, then we have seen that every element has its inverse, then we have checked the commutative thing, so this is non-commutative. And then as you know that function composition is associative, so that as because we are considering rotations as functions, so associativity holds here automatically. So or you can check it, that checking that thing will be a little cumbersome, so you can try that otherwise. Anyway, so that is associative also. So closure property, then identity, inverse, associativity. So these are the four basic things that have to be followed by a set to make it a group. So these all four things are visible here. So we can say finally that this set of symmetries of a square is finally a group. In fact, it is a non-abelian group. So if I want to give you the formal definition of a group, then you can say that a non-empty set along with a binary composition makes a group if it satisfies the four properties. Number one, it is closed under that composition. So basically, if I'm saying it is binary composition, that means it is closed. So no need to say it that it is closed, because we have already said that it is a binary composition. So next we have to check is that identity, then inverse of every element should exist, and then the associative thing. So all these four properties in total makes a group. So finally we can say that this group of if I take symmetries of a square, and that forms a group. Now next we are going to take the symmetries of an equilateral triangle. So suppose you have this equilateral triangle, and I have named them as 1 2 3, these corners as 1 2 3. Now consider a fixed point in the center of a triangle. There are two types of symmetries we can look at. So let us see what are the two types of symmetries. So first type of symmetry is rotational symmetry. That means the counterclockwise rotational symmetry. We can rotate a triangle by 0°, 120 degree, or 240 degree. So let us see this image. So rotation, this is your equilateral triangle. So 1 2 3. So if I just take 0°, that means no change. So 1 2 3 will be same as 1 2 3. There is no change in the position. Then I am taking 120° rotation anti-clockwise. Then this 2 will go at the position of 3 here, and 3 will come down. So this is 1 2 3. This is 120° rotation. I have denoted it by row 1. This is row 0, this is row 1. Then 240° rotation, because 120 plus 120 is 240. So if I rotate this again 120° anti-clockwise, then that will be the 240° rotation. So if I rotate it 120°, so 1 will come here, 2 will come here, 3 will come here. So this is your row 2. So row 0, row 1, row 2. Again, if I rotate it 120° further anti-clockwise, then you will get this row 0. So in total we are getting these three rotations: row 0, row 1, and row 2. So next type of symmetry is axial symmetry. That means we are mirroring the equilateral triangle around each of these axes, and that will produce a symmetry. So 1 2 3, these are three axes. Let us see. So these are the position that we have taken: 1 2 3. So consider this axis. So if I am mirroring, or I am flipping this triangle along this axis, then 1 will be same and 2 and 3 will change their positions. This is I am denoting by mu1. Then mu2 is along this axis, then 2 will be same and 1 and 3 will change their positions. Mu3 here, 3 will be same and 1 and 2 will change their positions. So they are mu1, mu2, and mu3. Now consider this set: row 0, row 1, row 2, mu1, mu2, mu3. So I am denoting it by S3. So again, what we did in the group symmetries of square, what we are doing here is same. So first we have to check what is binary operation in this set. That first of all we have to check the closure property, and for that closure property you need a binary operation. So again, I'm going to consider these rotations as functions, and that will be your function composition. So each element is basically a function on this set 1 2 3, because what we are doing, we are basically changing the positions of these corners which are named as 1 2 3. So consider mu1. What we are doing in mu1, we are doing 1 2 3 changed as 1 3 2. So 1 is going to 1 and 2 is going to 3 and 3 is going to 2. So this is your mu1. So if I am combining rows 1 and mu2, then that it will be if I am taking function composition, that will be row 1 mu2. We are applying mu2 first, that is f composite g is f of gx. So here row 1 of mu2x. So first you are applying mu2. So this is your initial structure 1 2 3. So I'm applying mu2 here. So if I'm applying mu2 here, 2 will be same and 1 3 will change the position. Then on this result I'm going to apply row 1. So row 1 is what? Row 1 is your 90° anti-clockwise rotation. So 2 will come here, 3 will come here, 1 will come here. So that is your row 1. So final structure is this, which you have obtained after the composition of these two rotation. So we are getting this thing. So row 1 composite mu2 is giving you this. So which is same as 1 is going to 1, 2 is going to 3, 3 is going to 3, 3 is going to 2. So what is this? This is your mu1. That means this rho 1 composite mu2 is equal to mu1. So mu1 is from that set only. So similarly, you can combine any two rotations and you will end up in that set only. So that means this set is closed under the function composition. So that is your binary composition there. Next, what you have to check? You have to check the identity element, the inverse of each element, and then associativity. That will here also follow, because that is we are taking function composition which is associative. Then next thing you can check is commutativity, whether it is an abelian group or not. So here, first of all, we are checking the commutative property, because that thing, your rho 1 mu2 was giving you mu1. Now I'm checking mu2 rho 1. What is that? So first we have to apply rho 1 and then mu2. So if I apply rho 1 on this 1, 2, 3, so that will give me this. This is basically the 90-degree anti-clockwise rotation. Then on this I am applying mu2. So if I am applying mu2, then that will be a flip along this axis. So 1 will be same and 2 and 3 will change their position. So we are getting this thing. And this is what? This is your mu3. So mu2 composite rho 1 is mu3. Hence, we are getting mu2 composite rho 1 is not same as rho 1 composite mu2. That means this is the non-abelian group. And this set which we denoted by S3, this is a smallest non-abelian group. Now, like we considered in that square case, similarly here we are making a Kelly's table to study that groups in detail. So let us just write all these rotations here: rho 0, rho 1, rho 2, mu1, mu2, mu3, and this row wise also all the elements. Then just see, we are composing all these elements. So rho 0 combining with all these will be no change, because rho 0 is no change, that is 0-degree rotation. That means your rho 0 is working with the identity element. Now, so first thing, basically from this Kelly's table structure, it is clear that we are keeping ourselves in that set only. We are not going out of the set. So that is closed, and then the identity element is also there, and then we are going to check that what are the inverses of each element. So for this rho 0, for rho 0 itself, it is the inverse, and for rho 1. So let us see which element should be combined with rho 1 to get rho 0. So rho 1 combined with rho 2 is giving you rho 0. So that means rho 1 and rho 2, they are inverses of each other. So you can see here also rho 2 combined with rho 1 is giving you 0. So rho 1 and rho 2 are inverses of each other. Then mu1, for mu1 is the inverse of itself, and mu2 is the inverse of itself, and mu3 is the inverse of itself. So every element has its inverse from that set only. And then commutativity is not following here, because so it is a non-abelian group, and associativity holds here. So finally we can say this forms a group, and this is called the group of symmetries of an equilateral triangle. And like we saw in that group of symmetries of a square. So if I consider this structure, that structure is called dihedral group. So in that square, let us see again this thing. So this structure, basically we call such a symmetries of square, we call it is a dihedral group of order 8, and we denoted it by d4. So dihedral group of order 8 will be denoted by d4, and the order of dn is 2n. So order of d4 will be 2 into 4, that is 8. So this is dihedral group. Again, if I am taking the symmetries of this equilateral triangle, then this is dihedral group of order 6, that is D3. The order will be 2 into 3, the 6. So basically this was the way we introduce the group structure to you. So basically these are the dihedral groups. So in this way we have introduced this the concept of groups. So basically in next chapters we are going to see formal definition of a group, and then its properties, and we will analyze different examples. So this was all about this today's video. So these are the references which we have used. Joseph A. Gillian, Contemporary Abstract Algebra. I have used chapter 1. So that chapter 1 is basically the introduction of groups, and dihedral groups have been analyzed there. And you can see in that chapter that they have given different symmetries and different logos and designs that occur in nature and in different vehicle logos also. You can read that chapter. And then these are the two other references that I have considered. So thank you.